You know, with Season 8 among the horizon within the next month or so, a lot of us start to look forward to Season 8. Even though a good chunk of episodes were leaked online, those episodes were not totally complete. I mean, they may have been completed animation-wise and full-length-wise, but there were things about them that were off. No background music. No sound effects. In fact, even one episode with only audio only. But despite that, we all are hyped, I guess you could say, and all looking forward to Season 8. But anytime a new season for a show comes around, that's when we also start to wonder about the next season. More importantly, what could be the final season. Anytime a show is renewed for a season, even before the newest season begins, we start to wonder what that next season will be like. Especially when it's announced that that next season could be the last season. You know, we all speculate. I came out here not a couple of days ago or so, and I basically said that Rarity and Spike's situation wasn't the only thing that needed to be addressed before the show comes to an end. I mentioned how Applejack and Pinky being related or not need to be addressed, Luna and Celestia's origins, and many other questions that need to finally be answered, many other theories and speculations that need to be addressed, plot holes that need to be filled. The whole 9 yards. Excuse me there. So, when I see someone like MegaSean45 at the MLP Forums creating their own list of what potentially they feel could be the best way to end the best way to start Season 9 and thus end the series with, or start the final season of the series, I will say this. What MegaSean45 put up, as far as episode ideas could go, looks pretty good. Some episodes may or may not be, a reality when it comes to MLP. Some others may be. I mean, excuse me though. I mean, you can't tell me that the MLP staff doesn't pay attention to what we put down. You can't tell me that the MLP staff doesn't pay attention to the MLP Forums or Equestria Daily. Because they do. They probably pay more attention than we give them credit for. But when I looked at MegaSean45's list, and they did and MegaSean did all 26 in their opinion of what they feel could be the episodes that would let the series ride off into the sunset on a high note. Honestly, like I said, some of them look like they could potentially work and some wouldn't. But if we were to speculate on what kind of episodes we would get, allow me to throw my 2 cents in there. You see, I look at it this way. We may or may not know exactly what Season 9's episodic or episode-like run will be, at least until maybe San Diego Comic-Con or next year's New York Comic-Con. We won't know until one of those time frames, or until this year's HasCon, the Hasbro Con. We won't know until one of those 3 conventions. We won't really know anything. Well, we may find out at international conventions maybe some information, but as far as in-state, North American-wise, we probably won't know anything at least until San Diego, New York, or even in between those two, HasCon. We won't know. I mean, I don't think we'll get any information as far as BabsCon goes. I'm sure that we won't get any information besides what season 8 is going to be like. And by the time BabsCon comes around, season 8 will already be on the air. So we won't really know, like I said, at least until one of those conventions in the summer and at the end of the year or the beginning of 2019, what season 9 will be like. That is, unless someone decides to go out of the way and leak the information again along with episodes like they did with season 8. But I digress. But as far as what season 9 could be like episode-wise, I do see it starting out with a two-parter, just like MegaSean said. Now, MegaSean45 brought up, like I said, it was an okay list, a decent list. Some of the ideas would work. Hold on for a sec. Some of the episodes would work. Like, hold on. For example, MegaSean45's idea for the first two-parter of the season, which of course, just like this year, you got to start with a two-parter, is called Long Live the King. And the synopsis he puts down for the two-parter is: ponies at the Crystal Empire start getting possessed by a strange curse that Princess Cadance feels connects to King Sombra. Twilight in the main 6, maybe main 7, must locate where the disturbance is coming from before it affects more ponies, and she brings the elements of harmony along with her. Now, the synopsis for part 2, for their two-part season 9 premiere, is this: when King Sombra destroys the elements of harmony and brainwashes all but the main 6, Twilight starts to think that she and her friends are not as strong in friendship as they used to be. Judging by the destruction of the elements and the brainwashed insult Spike, Starlight, and the CMCs, the princesses, and pretty much all the friends start bringing onto the main 6. So, for starters, that does look like a good idea. That does look like it works for a good two-part premiere. But here's my question. Why would you want to take the CMCs, Starlight, and even Spike, potentially the ones that got to save the School of Friendship in the finale, from what I understand? I could be wrong there. Why would you have them be the ones, along with the princesses and the rest of the ponies around them, be brainwashed by Sombra? It doesn't make any sense. The idea potentially has merit. It really does. And I could see Hasbro doing something like this. I could. The other one he has is called Princess Vacation, which would be the third episode of season 9. And basically, the synopsis is Twilight basically convinces Luna and Celestia to take a vacation. At least that's what it says, I believe. Hold on. Yeah. His synopsis for episode 3 of season 9. These are his episode ideas, by the way. Twilight persuades Celestia and Luna to take a vacation while she and Starlight take over their duties. But the princesses have a hard time relaxing, believing Twilight and Starlight are going to mess up. And then they put in parentheses, it's like a Squid's Day Off like episode. In other words, if you watch SpongeBob, basically they're saying that the Princess Vacation episode is similar to what they did on SpongeBob with Squidward. It sounds like a good. I will say this: Princess Vacation does sound like a good break after what could potentially be a very dramatic, dark, emotional two-part season premiere. So Princess Vacation could be a good, a a good break from the norm. So I could see that. I could see that working. Now, episode 4 of season 9, which in parentheses he said would be the 200th episode, he calls Batting an Eye. Now, this is the synopsis for, again, remember, these are their episode ideas. This is his synopsis. Basically, he says in his synopsis, when Spike gets a new crush on a laid-back teenage bat pony named Nighttooth, who loves comic books and was raised by ponies, Rarity believes she's been replaced and goes to extreme lengths to try and win back her special little helper. So yeah, basically, according to MegaSean, if they were doing the episodes, then the 200th episode would be dedicated to the whole Spike Rarity deal. And from what the synopsis would put, and from the synopsis they put, basically this would open Rarity's eyes to realize maybe she cares about Spike more than just as a friend. You know what I'm saying? In other words, MegaSean is basically saying, hey, let's use the 200th episode to wrap the whole Spike and Rarity thing up and finally put these two together, because obviously that sounds like, that to me, in my opinion, that sounds like what he's indicating here with the synopsis. And maybe he feels that, you know, Hasbro has teased this long enough and flirted with this idea long enough, let's just make it official and be done with it. Because I think MegaSean does, again, my opinion, MegaSean probably feels the same way I do. We don't know how old Spike is. Okay? We don't know how old he really is. So to me that sounds like a good idea. Now, I'm not going to read them all off, but I will provide a link to the topic at hand. I will provide a link. Hopefully you guys will be able to look at it. I might even try to get it into the description box, but I don't think that's going to be possible. But overall, from what MegaSean has put down, some of the episodes do have merit. In fact, he even looks at the series finale, which would be the season 9 finale, as a 3-parter. He doesn't look at it as 2 or 1. He looks at it as 3. Now, you might say, well, how is that possible, seeing it's only back-to-back? Well, if Discovery Family values this show as much as they do, along with Hasbro and such, and DHX Media, then I think if they wanted to go the 3-part route for a series finale, they would work around it, and they would dedicate a Saturday to it. Overall, we don't really know what we're going to get with season 9 as far as episodes are concerned, but I do know they need to have episodes that address certain situations. Batting an Eye kind of mingles with my idea of them addressing Spike and Rarity. You know, the whole Spike and Rarity deal, it does address that. So I like Batting an Eye's possibility that if that episode was to become a reality, and I don't know if that would be the 200th episode or not, that to me works. Because at least in some shape or form, you're acknowledging that Rarity is realizing Spike means more to her than just as a friend. And maybe vice versa. I don't really know. Could be completely different. If an episode like that was made, maybe, you know, because you would have Missed Maine in there, maybe Rarity is being kind of taught, hey, you gotta let him go. You gotta let him move on and let him do other things. And that might be good too, because at least it's addressing the situation. But again, we don't really know if an episode like that would be made. But, as I mentioned earlier, if I was to put my 2 cents in and give you my ideas, some episode ideas, one episode definitely has to deal with pink. Here's what I look at. Here's episode-wise, I'm just going to give you a few ideas. I'm not going to do off any, and I'm not going to go by any titles or anything. But I think definitely, if you're going to begin the final season, you got to go with a two-parter, no doubt about it. But let's not set it in the Crystal Empire, okay? Let's not do that. I mean, yes, the Crystal Empire is great. It's terrific. A terrific location for whatever you want to do, for whatever story arcs you would get. But I think what you need to do is you need to use Season 9's premiere to build up to the series finale. That's what you should do. So you should take these two-parters, the Season 9 two-part premiere, and in my opinion, use it to build to the series finale. How do you do that? You bring in some antagonists, yes. You have them face off individually against the main 6, main 7, 8, whatever you call them, and their allies, their friends. Then you have all these villains that throughout the show's run, and sort of in a montage kind of way, have gone up against the main 6, either together or in pairs or whatever, or the main 7 or 8, either together or in pairs. And you dedicate most of the two-parters to these villains going up against the main 6, 8, if you will, like I said, together or in pairs, being defeated, and then you either end part 1 or you end part 2. Okay, you end part 1 by them all meeting up together because they get this mysterious dark message to meet up someplace. And they don't know who this message is from. So you would have Chrysalis. You'd have Wind Rider. Okay? You have Wind Rider, you'd have Chrysalis, you'd have, who else would you have? You would have Garble and his fellow bully dragons. That's one way to go. You could have Lightning Dust in there, because unless they do something with her unless they do something differently, Lightning Dust be put in there. The Flim Flam Brothers, if you want to go with that route. Just get a rogues gallery. Like, what rogues gallery do you have left that has not been reformed? You have Tyrek, so you could put Tyrek in there, you could put Chrysalis, you could put Wind Rider, you could put Garble and his fellow dragons. You can bring these guys together, sort of like their own little main group, if you will. And maybe even bring back Sombra. Like, you see this mystical aura version of Sombra, but he's kind of like in ghost form. Okay, he's kind of like in ghost form. But anyway, you bring back some of the still established antagonists. Maybe even bring in Sala Palmer, with basically Rarity's boutique rival. Okay? So, boutique rival, if you will. So you bring Sally Palmer in. So you got her, you got Polymer, you got Ryder, you got Lightning Dust, you got Chrysalis, and you got Tyrek. Okay? As well as you got Garble and his fellow dragons. You bring them together. Here's basically your Legion of Doom, or your secret society to oppose of Equestria to oppose the main 8 or 6, whatever. And all wondering who summoned them. And then you get this mysterious message. And then you see who summoned them, and it looks like it's the Pony of Shadows. But how? How could he be? How could this be the Pony of Shadows? It's not. It's Sombra. Yeah. And, like I said, you could add Sombra in there as a ghost form if you want to make it the Pony of Shadows. But my idea is you make it you either go that route or you go the Sombra route. And what happens is you have Sombra tell them that together they can beat the main 6, or the main 6, Twilight and her friends, but individually they can't. Individually they can't beat Twilight and her friends, but together they can. I know it sounds a little confusing, but the point I'm getting at is I would use the 2-part season 9 premiere to establish this new group. Have them come together possibly at the end of the 2-parter. Like, okay, you end part 1 with whoever is going to summon them. Whether it's the Pony of Shadows, whether it's King Sombra, or someone new, like Majesty maybe. That would be something. Or even the G4 equivalent of the witches from My Little Pony the movie in G1. Of G1, 1986. That would be something. But I think if you want to be more mystical and all that, I would go either Majesty, Sombra, or the Pony of Shadows, summoning these villains and such. I mean, heck, you can even go and bring in the guy that is an antagonist to both Daring Do and Rainbow Dash. Which is, I can't think of that pony's name, but he's the one that tried to that kind of summoned Alazuru, if you will. So Alazuru, heck, there's one right there, Alazuru. Whatever his name is. You can have him be summoned as well. Like, who's this mystical force that summons him? Of all creatures. The point is what I'm getting at is you get a decent establishment of well-known antagonists, current antagonists of Twilight and her friends, and you have them come together probably at the end of part 2. Like I said, with part 1, you set up basically whoever it is that is going to bring them together. Like he's overwatching everything and seeing the potential that together these antagonists, these villains, would have if they work together. So you continue on with part 2 in the same veins to where, you have Chrysalis doing her thing and all that. And then, or you have Chrysalis, you have Flynn Rider, you have Alazuru and his henchmen doing their thing, and they get defeated. And then they get summoned at the end. It's like all of a sudden after they're defeated, whoever is summoning them just teleports them away. That would be interesting. I know I'm going on a tangent here, so I do apologize. Not a tangent, but I do know that I'm going a little long here, so I do apologize. But basically, you have whoever this powerful dark force is teleport the villains away after they've been defeated. Like before the Twilight and her friends can get to them to probably lock them up in Tartarus, they get teleported away. And then you could use part 2 to not only have Twilight and them wonder, along with the princesses, who could be teleporting these villains away, what's going on. And then at the end of part 2, you have all the villains that have been defeated and been teleported all teleported to one location, including even a locked up Turek, wondering what the heck is going on. And then that's when you can make the reveal happen as to who's summoning them, who summoned them, and who's going to bring them together as a group. And then that, by doing so, in the season 9 2-parter, in my opinion, you use it to build to the series finale. That's what you do. You use the season 9 2-parter to build to the series finale. And it has been noted that anytime a show does that the payoff at the end is greater. Because you use the rest of the season to kind of touch upon what's going on. You have certain incidences and moments occur throughout the season in certain episodes that tie in to not just the 2-part premiere, but are going to tie into the series finale. So now you're probably wondering, okay, you blabbed on a little bit about, blabbed on about what could be. About how season 9 premiere would set up the series finale. Okay, who is the Dark Force? Who is summoning them? Who brought them together? Who's making this all happen to where, yes, as a result, we get not a 3, but a 4-parter. Yeah, we get a movie out of this. A made-for-television series finale movie. That's right, we get a made-for-television series finale movie. You can put it in 4 parts on Saturday, back to back to back to back. And that's fine. But if you really value Friendship is Magic, if Discovery Family really values it as probably the most successful show they've had, then they take it another step and they say, okay, instead of doing a 4-parter back to back to back to back to back, let's make a whole movie out of it, and then maybe the next day or the following week you could divide it into multiple parts. A lot of shows have done that in the past and the present. So to me, that's the best scenario, to do a 4-part series finale and even go as far as present it as a made-for-television movie. Because to me, you want to use the season 9 premiere, the final season premiere, to set up for the finale. So now, again, you're probably wondering who would be this one that summons them. Well, like I say, you could have several choices. You can have Sombra be one if he's not involved, or if there's one of them that gets summoned. You could have the Pony of Shadows in some capacity. You could have Majesty, which would be a G4 reinterpretation of the G1 character. Or you can have the G4 interpretation of the witches from G1, from the G1 movie and the G1 premiere, a series premiere, which was the follow-up to the movie. Any choices. But if I was to choose one, though, then I would go with the twist. And that twist would be Majesty. I would go with Majesty, an actual unicorn, but not a unicorn here, not like she was in G1. No. I make her an alicorn. I make her a rogue alicorn. That is possessed by the magic of Nightmare, by the dark magic that created. No, not possessed, but I make Majesty a rogue alicorn. Not a unicorn like she was in G1. No, I make her a rogue alicorn, and I make her be the one that's been responsible throughout the entire series run for all the dark magic that's come around. From the Pony of Shadows being created and summoned, to the dark magic that possessed Luna and made her into Nightmare Moon, and in the comics possessed Rarity, made her into Nightmare Rarity. I make Majesty be the one that's a rogue alicorn, and is the one behind all the dark magic that's been created throughout the thousands plus years. Celestia and Luna and Star Swirl, well, not specifically Star Swirl, but not specifically Star Swirl, although he would know about it. But around the 1,000 plus years that Celestia and Luna have been around, we make her be the one that's behind the whole situation. We make her be the one that's created this dark magic. That's created the dark magic that possessed Luna in the show and Rarity in the comics and turned them into nightmare versions of themselves. I have her be the one that's responsible for creating and summoning the Pony of Shadows, the very Pony of Shadows that possess Stygian. I make Majesty in her G4 incarnation a rogue alicorn that has summoned all these antagonists together, has caused at the end of part 2 of the season 9, of the final season premiere. I make her be the one that's responsible for all this happening. For certain moments and situations happening throughout the series, throughout the final season, and thus have it all build up to this finale. And you can even have a bit of a background story that connects her to Star Swirl, Celestia, and Luna. You can have her background history when it comes to Stars will be that he tried to teach her, but she was a very rebellious, very rogue alicorn that didn't want to listen to reason, that didn't pay attention, that always tried to do their own thing, tried to always usurp him for his powers. So to me, when I look at potentially a villain for the final season, like I said, you use the 2-part premiere of the final season to build towards it. And then you use certain episodes throughout the series, throughout the final season, I should say, to build to that moment. You build to that moment. So that's how I would look at season 9. That's how I would start season 9 and try to slowly and use the premiere to build to the series finale. And throughout, I would also use it to address a lot of scenarios. Like I said, I would probably an episode or two, maybe 2 episodes later, I would use in the 200th episode to address Luna, not to address Spike and Rarity, no. I would actually use the 200th episode to finally explore Luna and Celestia's origins. That's what I would do. And then in that origin story, you can even touch upon Majesty and her being a rogue, rebellious alicorn that went to the dark side. Or the dark side, if you will. And not only in that 200th episode will we finally be able to find out the truth and the origins behind Celestia and Luna, but you would also be using it to help build towards the series finale. And then as a mid-season finale, because they got to take a break for a while, a break for about a month or two, the mid-season finale, I would use that to address Spike and Rarity. I would use the mid-season finale to address Spike and Rarity, and I would use that one to finally, in my opinion, make them a couple. I know that sounds strange to people, but I think, as I said before, if you're going to keep teasing and flirting with this, you either got to drop and not do anything with it, you either got to drop it, or you got to make it official. And in my opinion, I would make it official. Because hey, if you're going to start Generation 5 off on a clean slate, I don't see no real harm in this happening. Just saying. So I would choose the mid-season finale to address that. And then, when they come back from the hiatus, I would use the mid-season or the second half premiere to address, I would use the first episode, the mid-season premiere, the second half premiere episode to address Pinky and Applejack. That's what I would do. I would use, after they do that mid-season finale, where focusing on Spike and Rarity, I would use the mid-season premiere, the second half premiere of the final season. I would use that episode to address Applejack and Pinky, and yes, I would confirm that they are indeed related, but I would also finally allow them to find, I would also allow them to finally find out why there is a smudge in both historical parchments that would connect the families. Like, what happened? What is responsible? And I would have all families connect, if you know what I'm saying. I would have the Apple family, along with Goldie Delicious, and the Pie family come together and finally figure out exactly what caused the situation, what caused the separation. So, I mean, you got the key characters now in there. You have Goldie Delicious that you can go back to. You have, of course, Granny Smith, but you also have Grandpere, and that's a key character right there that can really help out. So, again, I would use the second half premiere episode, which would happen, which would occur after they come back from the hiatus, after the mid-season episode. I would use that second half premiere to address Applejack and Pinkie Pie being related or not. And yes, I would confirm that they are, but that I would also throw in the twist. But I would also throw in the fact that they finally find out why both parchments that would make that connection and confirm it, why there's a smudge, and maybe who's the one that smudged it. And again, you got all the key elements in there now. So yeah, I would do that. And then, of course, I would finally address some other romantic issues as well. Maybe some romantic situations here and there with an episode. Maybe another Hearts and Hooves episode. But this time, I know it may sound a little dramatic, but I would finally get certain ships, if you will, canon, or at least acknowledged that there is something there besides friendship. I could see Pinkie and Cheese Sandwich finally coming to an understanding that, hey, maybe something's there between us, okay, besides friendship, and that could work. I would use part of the episode's plot to focus on them, and then I'd go Rainbow Dash, Soren. That's right, Rainbow Dash and Soren. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Rainbow Dash and Flash Magnus are perfect. They're almost exactly alike. That's the problem. Sometimes in reality and in fiction, opposites attract. And let's be honest. If you have the same taste in everything, that's good. If you can make that work out to where you have the same taste in comics, movies, games, whatever, hobbies, whatever, then that's great. More power to you. But sometimes that can be a detriment, and it may not help the relationship. So if you have opposites, but obviously opposites do attract, because opposites at times can understand why you like certain things, and you can understand why they like certain things. And to me, Rainbow Dash and Soren is that perfect pairing when it comes to opposites attract. I mean, come on. Who else did, when Rainbow Dash did her impersonation of the main six in Newbie Dash, who did she pretend to be or act like Rarity in front of? In a flirtatious way? Soren. So I think that'd be the best scenario. Soren. So I think you need an episode that at least addresses maybe those two romantic scenarios, or potential romantic scenarios in Pinkie Pie Cheese Sandwich and Rainbow Dash Soren. Another idea I will say that they should do, that MegaSean brought up, was maybe Rainbow Dash taking over Spitfire's command. Because maybe Spitfire wants to step down, maybe go exploring and adventuring on her own. And I could see that. I could see them doing an episode like that. That'd be fine. That would be fine. But then, there's another thing that would have to be addressed. And this could tie into the 4-part finale. You could have two things happen in this 4-part finale that really would make this something that, as a made-for-television movie, people would love to see and watch over and over and over again. But also make it something that finally addresses a lot of scenarios, and maybe even passes the torch in some scenarios, as well as you finally culminate everything, as finally you take what you began in the final season premiere, the season 9 premiere, and you finally have it culminate in this finale as well. And what you do is this. The season finale, or the series finale, should be a 4-parter, either back to back episodes on that Saturday of the finale, or just one made-for-television movie that you then later on split into 4 parts. You have what was started at the end of part 2 of the season 9 premiere come to fruition here in the finale, with the villains all coming together thanks to Majesty. But also at the same time, you have the ponies prepare for 2 big occasions. You have a wedding to prepare for, which would be between Big Mac and Sugar Belle. That has to happen. That could tie into the situation. And then you also have, as I mentioned, a passing of the torch. One of the other big events that could happen, that would kind of happen and tie into this, is Twilight gets word from Starswell that the time is coming for Celestia to ascend, to move on to a higher plane. That her time as ruler of Equestria is coming to an end. No, she's not getting old. It's just that the time is coming. It's just that she's gotten the call to ascend to a higher plane, to where she can watch over everybody as some kind of spiritual guide, if you will. In other words, some kind of spirit. In other words, she'd still be with them, but in a spiritual-like way. Maybe she becomes a tree, and becomes one with the earth, who knows? Or maybe she ascends and she just, as we've seen before, they start to ascend and they transparent and they disperse, and they're just now all over Equestria watching over it. Whatever it is, another scenario that could play into this, besides, Big Mac and Sugar Belle's wedding, along with that culminating at the same time that you're bringing the whole, Majesty, bringing in these villains and all that together to have one last confrontation with Twilight and her friends. You have Twilight you have Starswell inform Twilight that, like I said, Celestia is getting ready to move on to a higher plane, and a higher plane of existence, to where she can watch over all of Equestria as in some kind of spiritual form, but that she has chosen, but that before she does, she has to choose a successor to raise the sun, and she can't think of any, and she's chosen Twilight. And you might say, well, wouldn't this be in conflict with Luna? Nope. Because Luna would be all for it. Luna would be like, if there's anybody that my sister should choose, or wisely choose, to be her successor, it should be Twilight. And it could work into that as well, because you would have these 2 big events happening, but at the same time, unbeknownst to Twilight and her friends, unbeknownst to Celestia, Luna, Cadence, Starlight, and all them, you have this rogue alicorn that's responsible for all the dark magic that's happened throughout the 1,000 years plus, leading this gallery of antagonists that have been defeated by Twilight and her friends. You have this rogue alicorn leading them into this final confrontation. So to me, for a season finale, or a series finale, I should say, you started building at the end of you started building with the 2-part season premiere, to have it culminate here along with 2 other big events, and I think would make for an epic series finale, and really show how much love and dedication that the creative staff has put into these characters and into this show, and how much the creative staff wants to go out and thank the fan base for allowing the show to go on as long as it has. Because remember, originally it was supposed to go for 3 seasons, and that was it. But no, they kept it going and going because of the fan base. And doing something like this would be probably the best way for them to thank the fans and the best way for the show to go out on a high note. So that is going to, so pretty much that's how I feel the final season should go. I know this was long, and I will put in the description to take your time with this video. It is a long one. So again, so really that's all I'm going to say. Let me know what you guys think down below. I will provide a link to MegaSean45's topic on the episodes that they have listed for what potentially could be season 9 episodes for the final season. Let me know what you guys think though overall, and I will talk to y'all later. Excuse me. God bless. Take care. I'm out.